Have you guys sat on that side before?
No.
How does it feel?
It feels weird.
I feel like you guys look a little bit like out of place right now.
I mean, I'm comfortable. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like,
I can tell this is
how
not
people feel.
where you normally sit.
Yeah.
It's definitely like is a switch for you normally.
People are going to notice it too. They're going to be like, uh-oh, what's going on?
They're in the hot seat.
Why are these guys there? What's happening?
All is not right within the world right now.
It's not.
Somebody screwed the pooch.
It's not.
Why did that become a saying? What perverted mind just said, oh, you just screwed the pooch?
It's a weird saying.
It is. It's the same with shooting the shit. Like,
Yeah, what does that even mean?
what does that mean? You just got bored, you started shooting shit? Like,
Did somebody actually screw a pooch?
Just go through a list of the dumbest sayings.
yeah.
Right?
That's just the show.
Yeah. That's
Forget
it.
the near-death experience.
Yeah. There's no need to go there. We
Right.
got more important pressing issues like screwing the pooch.
What are some other really dumb ones?
Yeah, now that you say it, I can't think of any.
Can't put the cart before the horse.
Screwed the pooch.
That one actually makes a little more sense.
But did somebody actually screw a pooch and they were just like, this works? It's been
well,
done.
they probably who screwed the
This is gonna
pooch is
stick.
considered a bad thing. Someone screwed a pooch at one point, and that was very bad.
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
and they were like,
we don't do that.
Yeah.
Where we come from.
Exactly.
You really screwed the pooch on this one.
that was a very sad, lonely man.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn it, John, you screwed the pooch on this one, you know?
that's a John story. Maybe he wasn't lonely. Maybe the wife and kids were in the other room and he went in the basement and said, you know what, I'm screwing the pooch.
Well, wouldn't you feel like he's not getting enough in some other places if that's going on?
Yeah.
I think it's totally subjective as to
why someone was
Why
screwed.
someone-
We talked about this earlier today. Remember, there are some people that just live in those darker places, and they just can't help but be dirty. Dirty minds,
dirty birdies.
dirty penises.
Yeah. That's awful. Dirty penises.
It's subjective. Okay, let me get this
We got a-
started.
we
She's
got a
giving me the
thumbs
thumbs
up.
up here. We ready? Sir?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have John
Parfit.
Parfit. I want to say parfait because he was thinking parfait.
Call me Johnny Ice Cream.
Johnny Ice Cream.
No, I will not.
Don't.
No.
That was one of the worst nicknames I've ever had.
Now I feel like I'm on a casting couch. You know, what's going on here, John?
Hey, but
You flipped the script.
when you go to McDonald's, is it a parfait or a parfait?
It's a parfait.
A parfait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, do us a solid. Tell the people who you are.
Well, I mean, hold on, wait a minute before you dive all up in there.
What train is
Lamar
the
was
Johnny
gonna do
Cat
that.
on?
Yeah, let me get in there because
okay.
I got to put a little bit of backstory into
Okay.
this. So, John and I met because I did my near-death experience interview with Jeff Maher's podcast, and John reached out through an email, and I said, "Well, it was email," and I was like, "Well, this is a interesting email." He liked the interview, and he wanted me to come down and do a podcast on he and his brother's show, which is the Belief Hole podcast. Now, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, hell, I'm on a roll. I might as well get out there and just, do what I need to do and tell my story.
Right.
So that's how John and I met. And then I drove out there to, it's not Canton. What's the town?
I mean, Canal Fulton, but
Yeah,
you might as well just say Canton.
just say Canton.
Yeah.
But driving
Canton or
out there.
Akron.
Right, Akron. Driving out there was a gorgeous drive.
It is a nice drive coming out here. too.
Yeah, coming from
Although
my
you
part
came
of
from
Ohio.
Cincinnati?
No, Auglaize County. So that would be like
okay.
the closest thing would be like Dayton. People will be familiar with
Okay.
that. It's just north of Dayton. But
gotcha.
driving out there is, man, I thought this is like a really gorgeous drive. And then I get to your town and I go, truly, I'm not in the right area because it's so small. And I'm like, well, hell, where am I going?
Yeah. Isn't every town out here small though?
I mean, some, but you got these
I mean, this
Amish.
is like 500 people.
Correct.
Size.
You got these Amish satellite towns that you're kind of like, whoa, this is kind of very, very strangely back in the day. And I pulled up.
It's not like scary or anything.
It wasn't, but I
the
think
housing's normal.
it is. But you were like next to a church, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And John lives in this house, and it's a 2-story. And I thought, okay, this is like eerily reminiscent of like Norman Bates.
Oh yeah. A lot of homes in like
type of feel.
the Midwest
yes,
look that
It
way.
does. You can't tell me it doesn't.
No, if I was coming here the first time, I'd be like, am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met John, and John got me nice and comfortable to do.
I basically inspired the whole show.
He inspired everything.
Yeah.
And this is all, you know, it's pretty
John
much
is
his
ground-
love child.
Yeah, John
this is
ground
John's love
zero.
child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He birthed it.
Wait, so you got in contact with him after you saw him on Jeff Maher?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense now.
But I mean, how many, and I've been meaning to ask you this, how many near-death experience interviews have you watched, and why did mine stick out to the point where you had to reach out to me personally? Or am I the only one you've reached out to?
First of all, I've listened to probably like over 500 accounts at this point, maybe like 300 to 500.
Right.
And yeah, for the show, I mean, I just am fascinated by them, and I really wanted to get someone on our show that had one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did reach out to a couple other people right when I reached out to you. But I mean, the reason I reached out to you is because I thought your story was really unique. Mm-hmm. And you just seem like really relatable, down to earth guy. Like I also really like the fact that you were like a cop at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So you should have like a clear mind, you know, and you're not just, I think it adds a little more credibility to the story, you know?
Right. Validity. Yeah. Yeah.
But that could totally be subjective. You know, there's some no-gooders out there that's like, oh, just because he's a cop, you know. People just like to rip stories apart, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
But
for me, that's just a couple of the reasons. I thought you were just an amazing person.
That's awesome.
Thank you, John. I mean, that means a lot coming from you.
so much so he's like, I got to contact this dude.
Right. But it's not just John. I've met so many people from that podcast, like Dale. He's from the UK. You know, it resonated well with him. It's just like that, for whatever reason, your story just resonated with me, with my beliefs and what I think an experience would tailor itself as, you know, because he's not that, you know, he's not religious. He doesn't have anything pending against his, like how he says it, his soul.
Right.
You know, he just goes along with life and hoping for the best at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you guys, the Jeff Maher subscribers who found our channel, like there was something you guys did or felt compelled to subscribe to this channel.
Right.
And I think that's crazy in itself. You know, people relate with what they want to relate with, and they believe what they believe.
Yeah.
You know, and for people to just take that comfort in knowing something inside of them tells them that they're right, and I'm going to do this. You know, it's always been amazing to me.
Yeah. And people are probably guessing why we are on this side of the couch this young afternoon.
Right.
So today is the day that, you know, we go into further detail with my account, our account.
Do the audience know that you had this experience?
They do, but we've never told the full story on our podcast.
It's always been on other channels.
Have you mentioned things about it?
We have. So
Yeah.
we've like drip fed, you know,
Okay.
I will stop this and wait until we just do it on a certain
proper.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were just, we needed someone that, you know, who could help us moderate and bring it along. And I thought, what better
guy.
person? Yeah. I said, well, damn, I know the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just making time to make that happen.
It took a little while to
being
get out
patient.
here.
Yeah,
but it's well worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Had it not been for John, we probably wouldn't be pushing towards the podcast. It'd just be the music.
Yeah.
He literally was the
I
The
think you
influencer.
you being there in person,
Yeah.
coming up and then breaking my camera really helped kind of like.
Tell him that story, John. Tell him what I did to your camera.
Wait, before he tells that story, to you viewers out there, if you notice behind John, I have to say this before we get carried away. A lot of our instruments and doodads and bells and whistles aren't in the studio. We haven't been uploading on the normal Saturday, which we have been doing. We're gearing up for live rehearsals. It's going to take a lot of our time from podcasting. However, we do have quite a few shows loaded and locked and ready to be downloaded, just to keep you guys entertained while we go through a 3-month process of getting this live performance and tons of hours of video footage that has to be shot before we perform our listeners party. So if you don't see us, or it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
You're not being lazy.
we're not being lazy. It's a
Highly
lot.
productive.
It's a lot to do.
Well, and John got a good appreciation of what goes on with the music. You know how we have the garage set up now, and it's all.
Yeah, I think John is one of two guys that know now how my thought process is with synthesis. It'd be John and Unit E.
Yeah.
These guys like get it because they're in it, and you know how to soundscape, and you know how to do detailed things for a project. So that right there, when I was relaying some things to you last night, that gave me clarity, and it felt like, okay, so I'm not weird. I'm just like any normal synthesis guy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, back on track to what we were getting ourselves into.
Back to the NDE.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would be a good point to where we can finally sit down and just tell the story.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you broke my camera.
yeah, tell them about that real quick.
I mean,
feel
there's not much
so
to tell.
bad,
Do you want the
man.
whole story?
Yeah, I mean, just give it to them. I mean, at this point, I'm defeated either way. I'm going to have to
Just
like,
don't
find another camera for the
just
guy.
leave out particular.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Do you want the whole story?
No, just leave out particular.
I mean, there's not
details.
much to tell. You're just trying to help it get set up, and it slipped off the tripod. You know, it's not a big deal. I just
for
like
that.
to throw that in your face.
Yeah, thank you for
every
that.
once in a while.
And John's doing it justice by lightly icing the cake.
Right.
No, my point was though, I think coming up there and sitting down in front of like an actual microphone and going through that process of telling your story.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was definitely probably one of the reasons like I could do this in another format and I have more to say than just
Right.
you know, the near-death experience.
Right. Yeah, I think I even told you that I didn't want the podcast being solely on near-death experiences. I was like more so about everyone's experience of life alone, like all the experiences other people are going through, and sharing that could be so much more helpful than an NDE, because you have those channels and you have those outlets already out there. You know, why bring out more of that when you can also give people a platform to tell their life stories? You know, they're just as educational as an NDE, because you can learn a lot from someone else.
There is something special about that. We talked about this before. The NDE, like once you understand the concept and you really like, well, first of all, you have to believe that they're real.
Right.
But, you know, for the amount that I've seen and just, I don't know, there's something that just really resonates about them with me. And if you accept that premise, it just takes all the pressure off of life. If you understand there's for sure there's something more than this, you know, you don't have to have, like, our soul goes on after this. You know, some people believe that we, you know, chose to come here on some level. So if you have that as a foundation in your life, I feel like it's just easier to deal with stuff sometimes.
Right.
You know?
Right. And even you too said that, you know, you went down the belief hole of NDEs, and you have to separate yourself from it at
For
points.
sure. Yeah, you can't. But it's once you get it, it's always kind of in the back of your mind. And no matter what happens, you just kind of have that buffer
Correct.
between, you know.
Yeah, and I feel you should really resort to those. Like when you said, when life throws its challenges at you, you go, well, let me get back in touch with my spiritual side, religious side, get back into the NDE conversation, remind myself, this is just temporary.
Right.
I'm just going through these moods, and I need a reminder to say, yeah, it's okay to get lost in life, but also take a step back and go, it's not that serious.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, with that said, I'm just going to briefly touch on how it all started for us, and we'll just go from there. If you want to just ask questions at any point, just go ahead.
Sure.
So I want to say it was like 2017, and this was in Wyoming at the time. And I was like heavy into law enforcement, just coming out of our farrier days when I hurt my back that bad and I couldn't do it anymore. So
Wait, are you going off the NDE or the first time you had the ear ringing event?
The first time we had the ear ringing event, because I think it primed me, from my beliefs, it primed me for the NDE.
Okay, but I remember the first time you had any of this was in Apple Valley.
That's true. And I thought about going back that far, but at that time, I didn't really know what that was.
Right. But it was a significant.
So when I was working night shifts for a sheriff's department back in California, I would come home from a 12-hour shift and I would be so sleep deprived, which is how I finally figured out how this ringing in the ears and vibrations actually started. I would go to sleep in the morning, and then whatever would wake me up, I would just kind of be like half sleep, half awake. And then I would hear this deafening high pitch sound in my ears. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? And then right afterwards, my body would just like vibrate, not my physical body, but it would have to have been my soul inside of my body, just like a tuning fork, just going bananas. And I heard like these voices or like a radio station. So anyways, I go into a sleep and I wake up that night to get ready to go to work. And I call up my mother and I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of anything like people hearing radio voice or radio broadcast in their head or anything like that? And she actually said, yeah, people that have dental work, like those fillings in your mouth, you can pick up on certain frequencies. And I think even at that time, I Googled that, and I saw something relatable to that. And I thought, weird, that was just one of the things that happened to me. I gave it no thought because it only happened once. So fast forward, we moved to Wyoming and, we're living our lives out there. And I remember just one morning, I hadn't had adequate rest. And I woke up and I just felt extremely tired. Like I hadn't had any sleep at all. And I remember sleeping fine, that night. And I told the wife, she's in there making breakfast. I told her, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go back to bed. I'm going to go to sleep because I'm extremely tired. Well, I'm laying there and I'm watching YouTube on the phone at the time. And then I slowly like doze off. I'm dozing off and I just turn off the phone because I'm about to get ready to go to sleep. And it was at that time where I didn't fall asleep, but that ringing came back, that high-pitched, deafening noise came back. And it was almost deafening. And then the vibrations come and I am just like, I'm looking at my hands, I'm alert, I'm not asleep, but I couldn't, not like a sleep paralysis. I could move if I wanted to. Let's just say that. But I'm watching my hands and they're still, but I just feel this vibration, just hard vibration. And the ringing slowly subsides. And then right after the vibration, these radio signals come in. And the first thing that I remember hearing is this lady having an intense conversation as if she's over the phone. And I'm like eavesdropping on the conversation. And she is just so upset with what's going on in her life. And I'm trying to figure out like, oh my God, what is going on here? Why am I hearing voices? Because this is what I could like perceive. And she's going on and on and on. And then that slowly, like someone's changing a dial and it goes to a different broadcast. And then what came through was like this NASA feed. And they were talking about a module, like something wrong with the capsule or something being messed up with one of the capsules in the module. And they were relaying data back and forth. And I was just going through all these different channels. And I thought, wow, how weird. And then it went into a radio signal and it was playing like music. I couldn't tell you what the music was, but from there I went into like a vivid, lucid dream. Woke up, thought it was the weirdest thing ever. Freaked me out. Woke up, told the wife what happened. I said, hey, this is what happened. This is what my body did. This is what I was hearing. And she had no idea like what to make of it. She'd never heard of anything like this before. So it consumed my whole day because that's how life-changing it was. You read about this, like this is like X-Men type stuff. This is like a mutant power, like Xavier from the X-Men, I call him up immediately. I'm like, man, this is what happened to me. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I experienced. I don't know what to make of it. 2 weeks goes by. He's like, whoa, that's pretty deep. It's pretty crazy. And I think I just needed to tell someone. I wasn't going to go like to a shrink or go and tell other people because, you put that out there, people like instantly.
There was never a point where I didn't believe him.
Right.
I just felt I was almost jealous.
Hard to lie to your twin brother, too.
It is.
Right. Or and your wife, man. And
but I had a sense of being jealous, and that's a feeling I pick up, not a feeling that just I conjured and developed. I like picked up that feeling of like, oh, he really is seeing something. And a big part of me was like, oh, I want to see it.
Right.
Yeah, or not seeing at this time, but like hearing things and feeling these things.
It's a metaphor.
Well, I get it. I get it.
Right.
But
thank you, John.
2 weeks after that, it ate me up for like 2 or 3 days. I mean, because this is like, to me, this is paradigm shifting. Like, what the hell is going on? Am I going crazy? Am I starting to develop, schizophrenic ideations and stuff? And, I started going down that rabbit hole and
questioning your sanity.
Yeah, man, seeing when that, takes toll. And so 2 weeks go by and I have another episode. But this time I'm aware of what's happening and I go, thinking to myself, here it goes again. I got the ringing, I got the vibration, and I got more people talking. So I reminded myself, hey, let me try to communicate with somebody and just see if they hear me. So I try to like send out this mental communication to what I'm listening to, and like nothing was getting like transponded back. Like it was just as if I can only listen, I can't communicate. Well, toward the tail end of it, another radio station comes in. And this time the DJ is saying, hey, this is Chad Clifford out of the South Bend Radio. He's giving out the weather. He's giving out what song he's going to play next. And I thought to myself at that time, okay, I have a name, Chad Clifford, right? I'm going to remember that name. I go into another lucid dream. I come out of it and I go, oh my God, it happened. I know the name, Chad Clifford. So instantly I'm on my phone and I Google Chad Clifford out of the South Bend Radio. And what's the first thing that pops up? It's Chad Clifford out of South Bend Radio. And I thought to myself, how would I ever know that if this wasn't?
Do you have dental fillings?
Yeah, but they're not I have one gold cap and then the rest
gold's
are
extra sensitive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's just that one, what is that little porcelain or the other kind of filling. So I looked it up and I was like, damn, Chad Clifford, South Bend Radio. So I went deeper and I was like, let me see if he has a playback so I can hear his voice to see if the voice matched up. Sure shit. The voice matched up. And then I think that's what gave me the validity that I'm not going crazy, right? Nobody could tell me anything at this point.
Yeah, it's weird that it was like a confirmation that, you weren't. I didn't think about that the first time you told me, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I needed that.
Right.
And I think whatever was at play knew that I needed that from going crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well, then I tell this guy again, right? And he's like, oh, shit, this is getting like crazy now. Now you are actually hearing, real people from 1,000 miles away from you giving out broadcasts. Like, what is this about? And then
so random.
It's just so random. And then
how old were we? Like 38?
38 or something.
39.
And then 2 weeks later, he contacts me saying, you're not going to believe what happened.
Yeah, it was a similar story to his. I was just laying in bed and woke up normally around 3 a.m. Like, I think our mother has this, I don't want to call it a disease, but she has a hard time sleeping.
Right.
And I think it's a genetic thing. We just don't sleep throughout the night, most nights. So I woke up at 3 a.m. That wasn't unusual, being at the age of 38, 39. And I remember around maybe 5 o'clock, I just started feeling tired. Like, okay, I'm going to shut off whatever I was looking at. It could have been YouTube or something. And started dozing off, but I noticed like there was a funny feeling coming over me, and the vibration wasn't like intense. It was just like it started off like a cell phone would vibrate if it was under your pillow type sound, and the intervals would get closer and closer because they were separated like a
You're having contractions.
And then it was just getting closer and closer and closer. The closer it got, the higher the frequency got. And then next thing you know, it's like you're sit in bed and you lose a decimal range in your ear and you hear that ring in your ear. You're like, oh, okay, it'll go away in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that, but it started getting deafening. And I was like, damn, am I going deaf? Is this what is this how it feels when a person goes deaf? It's just the weirdest thing if you've never felt this before and all of a sudden you're going through this. And I'm totally coherent. Like there's not any part of me that thinks I'm dreaming. I'm awake. And, I know what it feels like to be awake.
Mm-hmm.
And once the ringing stopped, it was just like, phew, like nobody, no nothing, just all auditory things, and I just kept hearing people, I don't want to say they were news reports, but they were like something kind of like that. And then this lady in the background goes, Kobe Bryant just retired his number. I think it was the number 24 jersey. And I was just tripping out on how she was sounding. And it was something I couldn't physically check out of. I had no control over. I just had this fear that I didn't want to participate in this game or this, whatever this is, And there was just so many things going on that I can't remember, but I know it was more, just only certain things kept my attention, And for some reason I was able to isolate all the chatter, which you probably had that same experience where somehow you're isolating all of the chatter and you just pick up this one voice out of all of them. And it's just this lady going, oh, Kobe Bryant retired his jersey 24. And, I remember fighting, trying to get out of it. And, once I kind of came out, I came back to this reality, or I came back to my body in segments, like, okay, there's a wall, or there's my feet. Okay, now here's an arm, and everything was coming back in segments, and then it was just like coming out of it and going, oh my God, what was that? And I don't remember if I woke my wife up immediately and told her, hey, we need to turn the news on. Or I think I actually probably fell asleep and woke up later that morning and said, hey, this is what happened to me. Explained it to her. She then turned the TV on, and it's sure as shit, like maybe an hour later or 30 minutes later, a news reporter from ESPN came on saying, and it was a female's voice, but it wasn't, I don't think it was the voice that I heard in the experience, saying Kobe Bryant is retiring his number. So we don't sleep with any radios on, and if we do sleep with anything ambient in the background, it'd be like something off of YouTube where we're like playing something in 540 hertz or something like that, but nothing that is going to
influence your thoughts,
influence my thoughts on that. And we both just looked at each other, and she was like, shit, are you getting what your brother has? And then immediately I called him and I said, tell me again what you experienced, because I didn't tell him what I experienced. I just wanted to know again. And he explained everything as I experienced it, but it was different from his, And then I was like, oh man, if this is what it feels like, I don't want no parts of it, because it literally takes all control. For me, it took all control and functionality away. And I almost felt like I was forced in the situation.
Right.
You
kind of feel vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, because you're losing control.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, one of the most terrifying things when this happens is when the ringing starts, I swear to you, it feels like someone is trying to come in the room and physically with an aggression on this energy saying, answer the ring. Like you're going to answer it. And the harder I fight, the more of a chance I can get out of it. If my wife touches me, and she never knows when my ears are ringing, but if she touches me, it goes away instantly, like nothing. And so now when I had these experiences, I try to tell her, hey, I've been up for 3 hours in the morning. I'm falling asleep. I think you need to I'll try to scoot and get close and have skin contact. For some reason, it like disconnects me,
Yeah, same here.
It takes me offline.
Yeah.
But if I forget to like do it, or you know what the funny thing is now, it's just been creeping up on me.
Yeah, you have no
like
control
it gives me
over it.
now it's giving me no notice.
Yeah.
And I've written down, I had one recently. I've written down all of my footnotes from it because I hate really trying to recall on memory. So I starting to do a little diary now. And it just snuck up on me in a dream. I'm dreaming, and then all of a sudden I hear this ring, and then myself in the dream almost, I'm kind of like looking around like, what's the ring? It's taken my awareness out of the dream state where one would just be in his subconscious, and it's making me full on conscious as to say, hey, we're going to start ringing right now. You're going to answer the phone. And guess what? You're not going to have half the time you thought it's going to take, because now we're shortening everything. And so it'll just be a constant ring. It won't even go in intervals. It'll just go ring.
Yeah, it'll get super loud.
And then the vibrations start, and then boom, I'm in it, And so
Sounds like, I didn't realize, it sounds like kind of like a negative experience for you.
For him, yeah.
Right.
I don't know if it's because I'm making it a negative experience. I know a lot of our subscribers comment and say, you just need to go with it and stop being afraid of it. But to me, there are certain things, it's just terrifying when you can't move, and it just feels like somebody's going to come through the door or through the window. Now, my psyche puts me in this imagination because I'm listening to other people's alien abduction stories. And so I build up this fear, like, this is what it is. This is what's going to happen to me, And so I just don't want to succumb to whatever's next, because every time it happens, it's always something new that happens. And I guess I just fear something crazy or scary is going to be in my face, and wanting to lick my face with these gnarly teeth. And, like,
I mean, you've never had, when you have your experiences, it's not like do you ever have this feeling that there's like beings there that like they're trying to...
You do get this uncomfortable feeling as if there's something else in the room. And for me, I don't like having my back exposed, so I'll make sure the covers
that's
are
what it is.
above my shoulder lines,
right,
so that I feel something is cocooning me and shielding me from that
presence. Do you guys get
presence.
sleep paralysis?
No, because we're still able to move.
I think I get...
I am, at least.
I think I get some on some of the rings. I can't move, because there was times where I was physically trying to reach out and grab the missus so I can just touch her so it can stop, and I just couldn't do it.
Right,
just couldn't do it.
And the only negative experience I've had was it wasn't too long ago. It bypassed the ringing, it bypassed the vibrations, and I went right into looking at myself in like this space and time mirror, like this just mirror in space. And I'm looking at myself and I'm going, and I'm just so much younger, and I'm able to acknowledge this. And I go, well, if this is me, I'm going to smile. And so I did a big old smile, just cheesing. But the portrait of me didn't smile back. And that's what led it down to like, oh shit, well then if that's not me, then who is it? And its thing is looking at me. It's me, but it's looking at me like this kind of smirk on its face, or my face. And I'm like, oh, and it started getting creepy, because I was like, well, why are you not smiling? And then the smirk went to like a concerned look, like it was a disturbing kind of a concerned look. And then the mirror of me started to go around like the back side of me, and I'm starting to lose track of it. And for whatever reason, I don't even know why it startled me, but I started getting fearful of it, because now I'm losing track of this person in this mirror as it's going behind me. And then I just instantly snapped out of it. And it was just, I don't know, it was just disturbing to see myself like that. I was literally looking at myself. It said nothing. It just made this like kind of a smirk. And I was just
like an aspect of your subconscious.
Right. But it looked at me as if like, well, I was smiling. Then when I stopped smiling, it was like, well, what's that about? Why are you taking this so serious? It's just you. Like it was giving me that look like, okay, now why are you doing that? And so I snapped out of it and I thought, man, that was really freaky. It was fascinating all in one, but it was just like, it was so, I don't know. It was just, I didn't want to say it was fearful, but it was a cross between both of like curious and fearful, you know? So, but I mean, after we've discovered the vibration issues, the in-between is what we now call it because it feels like you're in between dream and reality. I think it was more primed. It was trying to gear me up, I believe, and getting me ready for my NDE. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Do you think that's a direct, like there was some sort of intelligent,
right,
consciousness that was trying to get you ready for?
Yeah, I 100% believe that because it literally helped. Because I promise you, if I had just went to an NDE without these precursors, I probably would have flipped. So I'm laying on my.
You think so? Even though it was like, because it seems like
the experience was great. You're right. So I can't.
It's
I
like
can't
overwhelming
really say that.
sense of like love and calm. That
right, but it. I would say all those experiences led me to be more comfortable and just go with it because I was already experiencing something out of the norm. So I was laying on my back.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to have some.
Right. You know what I mean?
Are you going to go into the near-death experience now?
Yeah.
Can we take a quick break? I need to change out of this. I'm getting so hot.
Are you burning up in here?
Like,
I even rolled my sleeves up. I'm going to come out of mine.
I think once the lights are on and the gear's on for a while.
Let's do that, John.
Sorry. I'm back.
You look refreshed.
I feel better.
Rejuvenated. It gets tense in here sometimes, people. The energy is just overwhelming.
Yeah, it does.
I think it brought the whole
about to get
room
more
up.
intense too once you go into the. I didn't actually hear all the backstory about your experiences too. I'm sorry that they were a little bit negative. I didn't know that they had that kind of connotation because his experience is so positive with the other one. But do you have? Okay, do we need to break it back in somehow that it makes sense or?
Well, well, we can just go right into my story, and then Meryl can just pick it up from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm laying on my back, and I remember falling asleep on my back. And because I have this sleep apnea, I go through moments of not breathing. So I think this particular night, I just stopped breathing. Well, I would have had to. It's just a no-brainer. So
kind of part of the whole
experience. Yeah, you kind of have that no breathing part. It's a real key element of the story. I'm dreaming, right, and then instantly in the dream just gets cut. Like somebody just turned the power off, and then my spiritual eyes wake up. So not my physical body, but I like to
remember
call
the
them.
Dream, do you?
No, I don't. It wasn't even important. Right? Not to compare to this, but my spiritual eyes wake up and I'm in outer space. And instantly, when I wake up in outer space, I told myself instantly, oh shit, I'm dead. Because that's the only way that's what I was feeling. That's the way it was perceived. That's the way it was known. It had always been known. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew exactly where I was at. Although I have no accounts of ever being there in that space. But I instantly knew I was dead. This is it. Now I'm looking at galaxy, stars, space, and God knows what. So I was in shock for the most part until instantly I started having these regressions or these regrets about how come I didn't do this?
Didn't you have some sort of like before you started to have that, just what the overall sense of like was there a peace and sort of, or did that come after the realizations?
It was there. It was, so Yeah, I mean, I had that, but the things that I was thinking about when I was there was like, oh wow, man, I'm in space and I'm taking it all in. I'm like, there's some stars, you know, wow, look where I'm at, kind of a feeling
Did you
going
feel
on.
like you were awake, like as far as
I felt more live,
right?
like
Yeah,
we
like
are,
it's
like
real
we
as
are
real
now,
gets,
like
even more. Yeah.
even more. I felt like I was my true consciousness.
So it wasn't like a dream feeling.
No. A dream is foggy, no control. You go with emotions, it presents itself and you react to it. This was, I'm awake, I'm out of my body, and my ever expanding consciousness is more than what I ever thought myself to be. Like, I had no idea that there was me inside of me, and I was contemplating all this, and I was taking it all in, not even fearful of like, oh man, so does this mean I'm going to go to hell or just, not even any of that. But what really started to happen is I think my universal body just started to process its old familiar self. So I instantly was like, oh man, how come back down on earth I didn't do those things that I wanted to do? Why did I let myself get so far away from this? And I should have done that. Lamar, you could have done better. You could have did this. And I was just really, really hard on myself on how come I didn't do that? Why didn't you do that? You signed up to do this. You know that, right? Like telling myself this. And I just felt really bad about that. And then, all of a sudden I just felt like this blanket. I call it a blanket of love because that's exactly what it was. It was like someone put this veil or this blanket of love around me and just said, man, everything is going to be okay. You don't even have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. That's not even your concern anymore. You're home now. And I just got this like ever loving presence of just, man, I'm finally back where I came from. I'm finally home. I'm here now. And I couldn't even think about my family, my wife, my kids, my brother, my mother, any of that, because I was so in tune to where I was at. It demanded my attention. It's just like if I took you to the distance between Europa and, was it Saturn or Jupiter is one of the moons, and put you on Europa and you're looking at Jupiter in all its glory. What are you going to think about? You're going to think about taxes and going to work on Earth, or are you going to sit there in the grand scheme of things and go, oh my God, look at this. You know what I mean? Look at where I'm at. It demands your attention, right? Because it's outside of your norm. And I was just lost in it. It was just, everything was just like beautiful. The colors, like, couldn't explain those. I could sit and watch the colors for 1,000 years and still be fascinated by
colors that
all the different
don't even
colors
exist.
that don't even exist. You can't even describe them because we've never seen them before. I mean, I've seen them, but there's no name for them.
Right.
There's nothing you can compare it to. Like,
That's
what am I going to
weird.
compare it to?
It's weird to know colors that no one else knows.
But not just color, but the color that it was like actually living, breathing, like color. It was a freaking consciousness of its own. It was just this thing, and I'm just like, wow. So as I'm taking this all in and I'm just feeling comfortable and at home, no stress, no nothing, I'm looking down at my feet, what I perceive to be my feet, which I didn't have. I didn't have like our physical body, like to speak of, the arms and the legs and all that. Although I felt as if I had that still, I could see my surroundings in almost a 360 view as like a third person.
It's very common in the near-death experience.
Right.
Like,
you could perceive everything.
Yeah.
Like there's no more of this, what we see now, this just tunnel vision view. I had like almost a 360 view of my
so hard to
surroundings.
understand that.
Way hard. But and imagine like you, but just so much bigger, like planet size.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how much room you had to contract and breathe. There was no limitation. And so I thought, oh, wow, I'm so big. This is who I really am. This is me, obviously, dumb. And then so I'm looking down, what I perceive to be down, which there is no up, down, left, right. There was none of that. But in my mind, I can relay it as looking down toward my feet. And I see this clear tube of like cloud vapor or a gas. And it stretched like from that end of the cosmos to that end of the cosmos. And I just thought, wow, that is a beautiful tube tunnel thing. And right when I had that thought, I was instantly in the tunnel. I didn't have to like, I'm going to move to the tunnel and see what's in it. Just because I thought of it, it instantly placed me because I was curious in this tunnel. And so I'm in the tunnel and I thought to myself, oh, this is the tunnel that people see when they pass on or when they die. This is what they see, what they call the tunnel. And I'm thinking to myself, it's really not a tunnel at all. It's just a glass tube or whatever. And there's no bright light. It was just, I'm in the tunnel and I'm going to my what I perceive my left. And I'm going at like a very high rate of speed, like a stupid amount of speed. And I'm looking outside the tunnel through the vapor, and I can see all the stars and galaxies that I'm passing on both sides, all around. And I'm able to take all that in. And that's when I start getting more downloads of how we're connected with humans and how we're all the same. We're all in the same, like the same soup. So it's like if I were a drop of the ocean and you like extrapolated a drop of the ocean is that much more or less of itself. But if you put me back into the ocean, I then become a part of that grand scheme of things.
It's like source.
Right. And I knew I was instantly missing from that human connection. Not missing from it, but the earth kind of like tethered you to it unknowingly. And so when you get out of it, you go, oh man, I was really connected. I'm really connected to my earth brothers and sisters. And the tunnel was just feeding me. You came here with a purpose, this, that. This is who you really are. And as I'm going down the tunnel, I'm like hitting all these like crazy turns. I'm going up and down. And toward the end of this, what I would call this ride, I hit the precipice of this fictitious horizon because there's nothing to say that this is the uphill because there's nothing but space. I'm coming down and I'm making this like left-hand turn into this big pulsating globular planet-esque is what I can call it, star, whatever you will. But the turquoise, the like goldish peaches, maroon colors that are coming from it, it felt like it was either a planet of heaven or like a door to home. So right when I get to the point of going inside this ball or this planet, I feel my body being particled out, like it's being stretched out, like everything is starting to detach, like Star Trek. When they're being beamed up, they get particleized out. And I remember closing my spiritual eyes and just going to give in to it chest first, as if it was just going to pull me out like this and go into it. And I was like, I had no choice. I was just going to go with it. It was calling me. And I get to it and I just feel what I would perceive to be a giant hand push all that back in and go and just stop me. And I didn't hear any words. It just stopped me. And I just knew instantly. It said, it's not your time. You have to go back. You still have a lot to do. It almost said like, we know you're not ready because of all those regrets you had. When we pulled you out of your body, you were saying, how come I couldn't do this, do that? It knew as if I wasn't ready to go.
You didn't have the complete experience that you wanted.
I didn't, and it didn't say a word. It just like instilled it into me, a feeling. Just imagine someone communicating to you with an expression, you know, like their expression. I'm not going to say anything, but here, feel what I want to tell you. And that's what the communication was like. It didn't give me a choice. You know, it didn't say, hey, you want to go here or do you want to go back and finish? Some people have a choice. Some people don't, you know. I didn't get a choice. And it just, with that said, just pushed me back, faster back down the other direction than I had got there. And I'm going back. And you can feel like the rush of whatever it is, sensation of wind or whatever it is. And I'm going back. And I smash back into my body, and I wake up and I take like the deepest breath known to man. Like I took an extraordinary breath, like a life of breath. And I remember coming back to my body hard, and I felt the gooey, ugly, nasty, stressful, fearful sensation of my body and
like
life.
Being stuffed back into a meat sack.
Exactly. And I was like, there's no way I can squeeze back into that. How am I supposed to fit back into that thing? And I did. And I woke up. I came back, and I was like diaphoretic, profusely sweating. And I just felt so horrible and miserable and depressed. And my wife walks in, and she's like, oh my God, what happened to you? She could tell by the look on my face I had another experience. And I told her, I died, and I just came back. And I even asked her, how long was I gone? And she said, I had just left the room 10 minutes ago, and I came back, and I just saw you shoot up like that. And I thought, there's no way. There's no way I was gone for 10 minutes. Because when I was there, it felt as if, I don't know, couple weeks maybe, if I were to guess a time. Just being in the space alone of just like being in that presence felt like a long time. It just felt like I was just there, just stewing, you know? Mm-hmm. And so when I came back, I lost all track of time. There was no way you could have told me it was just 10 minutes. I was gone way longer than that. Hell, in the tunnel alone had to have been a 4-day trip. You know what I'm saying?
There's like a distortion of time. Like you don't.
A hardcore distortion.
Would you say there is no time?
I would say time wasn't even irrelevant. It held no.
Did you think about time?
No, it held no factor.
So you just had a feeling. I've been doing this for
a very long time. But the feeling was reminiscent of the old me, of my spiritual me prior to Earth. Mm-hmm. That's how familiar I was with my consciousness. I was like, oh, it's me. I'm bigger than this. I'm more than just Lamar there on Earth. I'm just so much bigger. And so, I don't know. And after that, there was some little bit of depression when I came back.
Didn't you say there were some tears?
Man, I just didn't like it here.
Yeah.
I didn't like it here at all. And I love my family.
Just compared to that.
It didn't hold a flame, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about love here, but we have no idea what true love feels like. And I got a taste of that. And now you're telling me I have to go back to that fucking place? It's like, no, I don't want to go. And I'm not trying to be like coward out of my life here, but if a divine entity came down and said, hey, do you want to go back right now? You've met your purpose. I love you guys to death. But yeah, I'm like, hey, I'll catch you guys when you get there. And that's just an honest answer.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I've
that's
had
what everyone says.
Yeah, I've had my fill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But what if you signed this proverbial contract and then that near-death experience is pretty much a jolt out of the simulation saying, hey, look, you signed this contract, dude. You're not doing half the things you were supposed to do.
Right.
We're just going to give you a little taste of, where you came from. Now get back to it.
But that's what I'm saying. If like some divine entity came and said, hey, you fulfilled that contract.
Right.
You're good. You're golden. Do you want to bounce
right? But
now?
I'm just saying in a near-death experience,
right?
In general,
yeah.
Like, what if these are wake-up callings?
I just don't understand, and I think our Oracle Deepa explained it. Like, I don't understand why me? Why not the person that's really, really struggling in life can get this type of experience or message? Not to say that I don't feel any less important than anyone, but I still don't get like, why me? You know what I mean? I never wanted it. I didn't think I was so far off a track with my life where I needed some sort of divine
Maybe
intervention.
it wasn't, we go back to like, was there some sort of like contract or something? But like, it did happen in sort of like an unexpected kind of just random way. It wasn't like you were in a car accident or, just had like literally stopped breathing from your sleep apnea.
Right.
I mean, do you think it was almost, because I feel like I've listened to some that it seems like it was an accident, like it wasn't like planned. It just kind of happened. Do you think there's room for that? Or
I do, because when I was there, the whole experience, and I keep forgetting to say this, it was tailored to my beliefs. It was tailored to who Lamar was. So it made absolute sure that I was comfortable. It didn't care about religion. I say it because that's what it was, its own entity. It didn't care about your religious denomination. It didn't care about, what you did or what you believed in. It just wanted to know, did you make the best of what you had? Did you squander it? Did you get your fulfillment? And it just made me comfortable. And none of that even mattered. None of it even mattered. I didn't get like, Jesus coming to me and angels and none of that. Nor was I expecting to see any of that.
What about a hell? Did you say you sensed a hell or no?
Just my own regrets of what I should have done and, things that I could have done better.
And you don't remember specifically anything about that. It was
that
just
part
more
I could not bring back, because if I had remembered that part, then I would have said, these are the things that I was regretting not to do, and I'm going to start doing them. I have no.
Maybe there's some kind of like, that's part of the game. You don't get all the answers. You kind of have to figure some of that stuff out yourself.
I do have a good suspicion that I'm on the right path with the podcast and the music, because that's what I love in life.
Yeah. You're going after, what you love to do.
And that's help people and give people the remembrance of that they're much more than this physical life and what their daily problems are. I would like to believe.
So, I mean, is it just the podcast and the music? Like, it didn't teach you like, oh, I need to do this more with my kids and be this way more with my wife, or, I need to
just treat people better in general.
Was it just certain things you got from it, or was it literally pointing out things you need to get better in?
Yeah. Again, I couldn't remember everything that I needed to come back and work on, but I did have this sense of how we're all connected and how we all need to be treated. Like, you treat everybody like how you would want to be treated. Like, everybody,
the golden rule,
needs to be loved, and that was it. Not specifics. There was no specifics. Hey, spend more time with your kids and do this. It was more of a whole united. You are all one. How dare you? Disconnect with everyone like that. And here we are. We're all disconnected. So I like to believe that my whole goal and purpose is to remind people that we are connected. Like, the things that we do to ourselves, how we judge each other, we're just judging ourselves. That's how connected we are. You know what I mean? We always have this, like he would say, this black gown and gavel. And what do? We just instantly start judging people. I mean, hell, we did it today. It's just part of our human nature. But if we can bounce back and just say to ourselves, I'm no better, how dare I do that? And just, try to keep an open mind on
there
everything.
Is no instruction manual on life.
And just try to be a better person every day. Make that a goal. Just try to be better.
It sounds so like simple and kind of like, what's the word? Not trite, but like cliche.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, it really does seem like it is that simple, like treat people better, love yourself more.
Yeah. Forgive yourself often.
Try not to hold on to things that don't matter.
Well, I watched one indie year, and he just pretty much said, when he was on the other side, he just said they gave him one word to sum up, the secret to life. And he said it was just love, which, if you think about it, that is the secret, isn't it? If everybody just loved each other unconditionally, we would have no more problems.
It's not easy to do that here.
But I don't think Earth is for that.
I mean, maybe some people that are like fully enlightened,
right?
Jesus, Buddha, there's a certain level of consciousness you can get to. It seems like reserved for, very few people, where you are just love, where you really can maintain that like 24 hours a day.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, most humans don't have that level of, it's a rough place, you know?
It is.
I mean, I thought about this earlier. Let's just say you're married or you're very close to a significant other in your life. And the dying process for your significant other, when they pass away from whatever they pass away from, almost instantaneously, the closest person to them that is completely healthy and alive walks them to the other side. And you're getting a physical, emotional representation of what the dying person is going through. And you have no control over this. You are physically walking them to the other side. Now, would that make most people feel better about death and losing someone, knowing that you literally saw what they saw and you walked them to the other side?
So that would be like a shared,
Shared death experience.
Yeah. I mean, well,
I wonder if that's even happened.
Yeah, it's happened.
It's happened a lot.
Yeah, we both heard accounts of that. I can't name someone specifically, but
I've definitely heard. There's a whole there's podcasts that just focus specifically on that. I think.
Right. I think it would help. I think it would give them an understanding of, okay, this is what happens.
Right.
You
I mean,
know?
that's kind of the death is definitely
Finite.
behind most fear.
Right.
Underneath, it's like the base level fear, the fear of the unknown.
Right.
Losing everything that you know and love in this life.
Yeah.
It's underneath everything, I think, to some degree.
But it's not enough fear to drive us mad. Don't you find that phenomenal?
Because but I do think it is some responsible for some of the madness. It's like you push it so far back and you just push it down and it manifests in all sorts of
Different
weird ways. Yeah.
Well, we've made it taboo to even have a common discussion about it at the dinner table.
The Western world has definitely pushed it pretty far on the back burner compared to Eastern cultures.
Right.
It seems like where they're more traditional, I think they have a better relationship with death overall. They don't wait until that last period to deal with it all, you know.
Yeah, it would have been much easier if our parents spoke to us about it. Hey, this is life, but accompanied with life is another finite deal that we have to talk about, and it's death.
I mean, could you imagine instead of having churches, as well, but having houses of death, a church of death, or a sanctuary of death, where you go and you
talk about
it, you speak about it, and you greet it, and you hear experiences, and it's okay to think about it, and it's okay to be curious,
scared.
I kind of feel like that should be.
During those, I think talking about near-death experiences would be a great way to make it not seem so scary.
Right. It should be implemented in everyday life just as well as religion.
And have the trust in your fellow human being when they give those accounts. I mean, for the people that are religious, they believe in Jesus without even seeing or meeting the man. They have no problem believing in their religion. So why would you not believe in your fellow man when they tell you that they've experienced something that was more than this reality? Even if there's a handful of untruths out there, there's still truths in everyone's story. You have to at some point open yourself up to the idea that there is something after death.
Yeah, dude. When I had a ear ringing event, I went through the normal process of the event. And right when I was shot off, I was laying on. Now, I have no visual of this at all. It's all feeling and auditory, okay? I was shot off. Instantly, I'm laying on what I think is to be a bed, but I don't see this bed. I don't see anything at all. And my mind is drawing up the etch and sketch of what's going on. And there's this woman, which to me sounds like she's in a encased studio booth with plexiglass around her, in the studio or something. And she's on the microphone quite like this. And she's talking to three entities who my mind perceives them to be scientists, whether they are or they're not. I felt these 3 or 4 individuals on my left side as I'm laying down. And they're having a chat amongst themselves. And all of a sudden, the woman goes, well, this isn't right. He's not supposed to be here right now, is he? And it's almost like she kind of went, he's not supposed to be here. And like she's talking to the 4 guys in the room with me, or I don't know if it's guys, girls, what, but I feel the presence. I don't see them. I feel it like I feel them like I see them. That's how real the feeling was. And she goes, relax, you're fine. She sounded confused, like he is not supposed to be here. Like she wanted to whisper, like, what the fuck's going on? And she's like, relax, you're fine. And I'm starting to panic, dude. I'm like, what is going on? Like, am I in a Travis Walton situation? Or are they going to start doing weird,
like fire in the sky?
Yeah. And she was just geared to keeping me comfort. And as much as I wanted to leave and I had this overwhelming just surge of wanting to leave, she's talking me down. And she was like, you're fine. Your family's fine. Your mother's fine. Your brother's fine. Everything's fine. Like this woman's, fucking Abraham Hicks of the fucking universe or something, And I'm just like, okay.
Did it work?
Everything's fine, but it doesn't feel fine, Abraham, And
did it make you feel better?
It kind of did, but it kind of didn't, And I just started fighting. And then all of a sudden, she just got into this crazy pitch in her voice where it wasn't even English anymore. And it was almost like feedback on the microphone that's pulsating in a weird way. And when she started to do that, because I felt like it was a feminine figure, when she started to have this dialogue of like a pulsating reverberation feedback, I started to go. I was like feeling woozy, and every time she spoke, I would like feel even more woozy, like she's putting me under sedation with this voice she's changed. And then I just started to like, go back and was just like laying there in this void. And then next thing I know, zip, right back into bed again. Almost like
you woke up right
This
then?
is the weird part. When I went back into this reality, I was never asleep. That's the thing. People say you woke up. No, it's not a thing of waking up.
Well, you were conscious in your bed.
Conscious in my bed, but how I got back in my bed is the weirdest thing, because it felt like I was like, you remember back in the day, the Slimer gel from Ghostbusters, this green slime you get out of a can? It kind of felt like I was that, but with a little bit more consistency, going back on the bed and solidifying myself. And I was just like, I was up because,
Ectoplasm?
Ectoplasm.
Right? And I just felt like I didn't get any sleep. I never fell asleep, and I still have this tired body. Like there was nothing restful about this journey. I'm stressed out the whole time. I'm forced to go through this ordeal that I don't want to be a part of. You can't tell your friends about it. You don't tell your family members about it because they're not going to believe you, And then I started questioning some of the things he was thinking about, like, is this how it feels for like schizophrenic, people? Like, am I losing my shit? You know? And I'm really having a conflict. And I keep telling my wife, and, she has her ideas as to what it is, and he has his ideas. And it's like, it's although we both share the experience, mine are unlike his experiences, but there are some things that are similar.
Yeah.
And that right there, that feeling, that everyone is freaking different.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even go anywhere. I'll get the ring, and then my whole bedroom would pixelate. And it would just like, I remember the ceiling fan was going around and around and around. Well, the ceiling fan pixelated, and it was just like, as it spun, it was like,
It's like the Matrix was breaking down.
And as that pixelated, as it went, like the ceiling and everything else started to crumble down with the fan. Everything was just falling apart, you know? And then there's just
kind of terrifying.
Right. And there's just me there. I don't recall myself pixelating into whatever, but I don't recall ever seeing the body either. And then it was so short of a duration. And then just as everything fell apart, I shit you not, everything the exact same way came back up and went back into the original spot. And it took the original course as it fell apart, it went back. And then the fan collected again. And I was just like,
that's kind of like a depiction of a complete construct. You know what I mean? Like how you get the building blocks of what the physical life of that person would perceive, and like someone's actually building the room.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely has an elements of like, it reminds me of the Matrix, you know? Like, that Christian Sundberg, that guy that I was telling you about before, the guy that, you know, had the pre-birth memories and you know, had that terrible fear of like going to the, like ended up killing the fetus. It's kind of hard long story to explain right now, but basically another person that has these types of experiences in a way, but he talks about before he went into this body, into this life, there were like technicians, like that actually facilitated the whole process of the soul going into the body. And that's kind of what that reminds me of. Like, it's like some sort of almost like technical operation of being here.
So what you're saying, John, is someone was asleep at the wheel on his particular setting, hit the deconstruct button, and everything's like, oh, wait, hold on, let's get that back online there.
Yeah.
Do you would you say in general you have like you like to be in control?
Yes. That's not an understatement. Like,
I'm just wondering if that contributes to the experiences at all. Like,
I'm sure it does. Giving up control and letting things go, and you don't know where they're going to go, and you don't even know how this started. You didn't want it in the first place,
right? Yeah.
And now you're forced to deal with it.
Not to say that, your feelings are like anyone would go through. That would be like
that's how I feel.
But there might be some extra level of like, if you do tend to be kind of like need to be in control in life in general, there might be an extra level of fear that accompanies that, you know, makes it worse in some ways.
Yeah, I'm always what ifing and worried about things.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. People that go to like get ayahuasca treatments, they always say that, you know, when they take the drink, you have no choice but to give up control.
Right. You literally can't hold on anymore.
You just can't.
My brother's the same way. He's very like grounded to this world too. He doesn't like anything where he's not in control of his consciousness, especially. And so, but he has a lot of like fear around that stuff.
And you have twin brothers.
I do, twin younger brothers.
Right.
And so he's very, very much panics when stuff like that does interfere, like any sickness type of stuff, anything that puts him out of like control of like being in this reality, this consciousness, like he's just very tied to it. And I think people that generally have that kind of like tightness around it may, you know, if you have intense experiences like yours, like there may be an added level of fear that gets put on whatever naturally would happen.
Right.
You know, and creates maybe more of a fearful experience than otherwise would be for maybe someone that just has done a lot of psychedelics or, you know, has a little bit less, you know, tight. I don't know how else to explain. I think you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we definitely.
It would be curious to know if this whole ordeal too is trying to explain to you, hey, just give up. Go in.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's kind of almost what it sounds like a little bit.
And
like it's almost... challenging.
I'm giving you what you wanted and what you asked for, and now you don't even know how to receive it. This is why we don't do this to people.
It is weird why it happens to some and not others. But it probably has, you know, has to do with why you're here on some level. You know, whatever your life path is. I mean, both of you are having these experiences.
Yeah.
And
But how weird is it now to talk about it like openly? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see people doing this 30 years ago.
no, I mean, technology, communication has allowed so many doors to open to make other people feel like they're not crazy.
Exactly.
Once you start sharing those experiences, you hear
Exactly.
about them.
Yep.
You're a lot more less afraid to talk about them.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many emails. I want to say it was close to the thousands.
Really?
Like 1,000 emails of like.
And mine got chosen. I feel so honored.
You were right at the very start of it too. Like you came in like right at the very, I want to say like one of the first 200-300 I was getting at the time. And
It's
then,
still like in a lot of other emails.
I know, but other people were saying like,
I think I mentioned that I had twin brothers too or something.
yeah, you did. Yeah. Like one lady stuck out and she was like, if you had not told your story, I think I told you this, she was like contemplating on killing herself because she thought she was just going crazy. Like
She's having a similar experience
the exact
with
same
the ringing.
things. She explained the exact same things: the ringing, the vibrations, the hearing the voices, the being off-centered, and how it was always when she was going to bed. And I hadn't put it together that it was due to like sleep deprivation at the time. It seems like that's how it comes
starts.
on.
Yeah, we've narrowed in on that. We narrowed in.
So if you're not, I wonder how much of the sleep apnea does play a role in this stuff. Like,
I mean, because, well, for me, for the NDE part, the whole not breathing, and who knows, I could have been maybe not breathing for a minute and it'll take you into an NDE experience. And
for sure, yeah.
Make it seem like you're there for a week.
Right, yeah.
You know, 1 minute here could be literally a couple of weeks on the other side.
I just had a recent one about.
How often do you get them?
Not often.
You can't ever, like, so me, I haven't had one in a while. But I know it's still there. You know what I mean?
Just waiting.
Just waiting.
I've had this one March 22nd. I wrote it
That's
down.
my birthday.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh.
Happy belated. It was at
This is crazy.
09:42 in the morning. Well,
That's when I was born.
it was before
Get
that.
out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's when I was born.
Right on the minute.
And I took down some notes as to what happened. And the first thing I wrote was I felt myself sliding off the bed. And that's been one of the most common things I've always experienced. Like I'm just being tugged off of my bed. And then once I'm off the bed, the place of comfort, I'm in it. You know, that's after all of the auditory's done. I feel that tugging off the bed. I'm in it.
Place of comfort.
My bed is just like, for me, that's a place of comfort.
Oh, I thought you
know?
meant after you have you're in a place of comfort.
Well, yeah, every time I'm on the bed and I feel like I'm sliding off, I'm leaving my place of comfort.
Right. No, but I thought you meant like when you shifted out, you were in a comfortable space.
Oh yeah, no,
like,
that's never the issue, my friend.
For him.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead
Yeah.
and finish your experience.
So,
Sir.
So I saw a silhouette of me inside the TV, and the TV screen looked like liquid lead, or you know how you get white noise on the TV or brown noise, and it's just fuzzy. So it looked like that, but it looked like it was liquid lead, and I saw a reflection, like a silhouette of me in that liquid type lead. And I remember like, oh man, like what's going to come out? Immediately I go into like things that are going to be harmful to me. But never do I see anything that makes me think that.
So you've never had anything really terrifying happen?
Never. So I don't know why I'm so afraid of it, but I just, for some reason, my mind just always goes to that. You're like, you know, we don't know, so we're afraid immediately. And then the ringing started to get fuzzy, and then the liquid is moving to the ring, you know, and the more I stare at it, the more I'm wanting to go to the TV per se. You know, it looks like a TV to me at this point. And then while I was seeing all this fuzziness, the ringing started, but then I started to hear babies crying in the background. And
It's kind of creepy.
And then it kind of sounded like a female whistling as the babies were crying. And the whistle was like one of those, like kind of like a upbeat whistle.
Like a casual whistling.
Right,
tune.
but it sounded like a woman's whistle. I don't know how you would be able to tell, but I could, for some reason, I can always
What's wrong with you?
I have no idea.
no
dude.
clue.
That's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Definitely weird so far.
Yeah. We're trying to figure this out.
So at that point, after I heard this female whistling, I started to pass through this void, which was different because most of the time I rocket off into these things and I'm there. This time I'm slowly going into this void, and all the auditory is getting closer and closer. The whistle's getting louder and louder. And I put here, I felt scared, but stuck with it. Like I had to just merge with this, and this is going to help get the process over. So now I find myself, when I go through these events, I'm like, okay, I give up. Let's go. Because it's easier to just go with it than it is to fight it. It just takes longer to get there, you know? So I'm like, okay, let's go. And then, so I said here, I felt scared, but I stuck with the process. I was on the ground next to the bed trying to get back in. And that's like literally how I felt. Like, you know, imagine somebody trying to pull the covers over your, take the covers off of you and pull you down, melt you down, and you're off your bed. Now you're on the ground. You know, you want to get back in the bed, but no, you're going to come on this ride. Whether you like it or not, there's things to show you. And let's see, where was I here? Something came in the room and it was walking quickly, and it was on a device talking while trying to disguise itself like my mother. And
That's
that
very
was
creepy.
And that's how I knew, because when the entity came in the room, it was whistling, but it kind of looked like my mother, but it wasn't. Like everything about it, like the face kept wanting to separate
no
from
wonder you're having fear.
Yeah,
right?
that, to me, sounds
pretty
very
scary.
fearful. Yeah.
The
Like,
face kept separating and the voice kept changing from the real
I
voice.
thought you said you didn't have anything scary ever happen to you.
this
I
sounds
mean,
scary as hell
so
to me.
the voice sounded like my mother at first, and then that voice changed into like something like another female's voice, but the face wasn't like the person or this thing had a hard time keeping my mother's face on and voice on.
I can see using the mother's face for comfort, but the way he's describing it,
Yeah, it sounds almost like wolf in sheep's clothing.
right?
Sort of thing,
like it's a horrible entity trying to disguise it as your mother to
some
get closer
reptilian
to.
beast.
Yeah,
But you guys are making it freaking worse on me, man.
Well,
Because
this is
I
what
was
it
thinking
sounds
maybe
like.
it's a nice entity and it's trying to do its best not to
It could
scare
be.
me.
You got to
but-
go with what you feel underneath.
But
too.
I wasn't scared like that.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, maybe this thing is trying to
I
keep me
think-
comfort.
Okay, but I think it's the way you're telling it to us.
and we're
Okay.
just
well,
going
I'm
by
reading
it.
Just going by it.
I'm reading it off the phone, so
mean,
it's
calm
probably a
down.
little monotone here.
Lower
but-
I
yourself
thought I
there,
was going to
sir.
come in here. We're going to have this nice positive,
Yeah.
like these
Jeez.
experiences.
I'm
You got
gonna get through this.
reptilians
Okay, so it
disguising themselves as your mother, and
Jeez, this is okay. Go ahead, man. We're just gonna,
so it came in like that, like it wasn't adhering to what it was trying to calm me with, like
Right.
almost like oh shit, this ain't working. I can't even keep the face and voice on, and that's how I felt from it. Like
Right.
it wasn't comical, but it was just like, let me ease this dude. Like, what does he know best? And turn into his mother.
Now, if you had led with that,
yeah, that's
type
a
of
whole
tone.
totally different
Right.
story.
Yeah.
You're like, its face is falling off.
yeah,
Well, it wasn't falling; it was separating.
walking fast
yeah.
in the room.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, it's separating.
Let's stick to the detail. Somebody could be listening, like, I need to know these details.
Yeah. Well, get back to your story.
Okay.
I'm
man.
pretty sure that's
So,
personal.
So I keep saying, or I kept saying, my ears, because as that person got closer and closer, the whistle was getting penetrating. And I remember like, my ears, like, stop. Why do you have to be so loud? My ears, you know? And then I put it or she would then dig into my ears saying, it's just a lot of, and I put a bunch of question marks and exclamation points because I didn't know what it was saying. But it was like, your ears, I was saying my ears, but it got into me like from here, and it was like in me saying something. It was whispering something. I could not make it out. It was not, I just couldn't tell what this thing was trying to do. And I even put here, I couldn't make it out. I began to teleport to a different house. And I remember this house. This house, everything was white and everything looked like it was Adobe-ish. Like everything was in blocks. Like the furniture was in blocks. The pony walls next to this kitchen was a block wall, and these square pictures hanging on the wall. But this house it had a little bit of color, but it was a white Adobe. Like the house was weird, but I also felt like I remember things in this house, and I've like, oh, I've seen that before. What is it? I don't know, but I know I've seen this before. And in this house, there was things that looked so familiar, like I've had an attachment to some of these items. But at the same time, I've never seen where I was. Even the floor was white, and it almost looked like concrete painted white because you can see the texture in it and some cracks in it. And, I was just like, man, this is crazy. And the weird thing is I could see the glow shine off the floor from the outside, and I could feel wind blowing in from the windows because there was actually no windows. There was just these square holes that felt like air was coming through.
So what about this place made it seem familiar, though? It seems like this place.
Some of the items that were laying around was just like, oh, I know that. Or like I had this feeling I knew where I was, but I've never been here.
Yeah.
And I've even put that in here. I began to teleport into a different house, which seemed familiar, but it was not anything I've ever lived in. The house walls.
At least in this life.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I'm getting instantly. I'm getting like this is a different life lived. Back in the heyday.
The house walls was like Art Deco-ish, and the paint was all white and very clean in the inside of the house. I saw something important in that house, but I can't remember what I saw. Just felt it was important. And after that, instantaneously, I went back I was like zipped back into the room and woke up and immediately hurried up and started writing that stuff down immediately because I didn't want to forget an inch. And now that I read it and I go back on the actual experience, there's some things I fully can't remember, but I know what I saw and experienced. And I think the trippiest thing was not only was I kind of paralyzed, but I'd finally got that scary point to where something entered in the room fast. You know,
it always seems like these experiences are evolving into something
else
from what they were.
And I don't know what to take from it. I don't know
do you think it's part of your subconscious?
I don't know.
Do you think it's?
I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I don't like to deep off into things that. The only thing I know
sounds like it's relating to you somehow. If you get the sense of these objects, and
most of the time when I explain these things, it's just in the form of what influences my thoughts on anything. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but I can't explain it other than from the information I've acquired over the years.
You and the audience. Do you have a lot of dreams?
I do.
Do you remember a lot of them?
Most of them.
When you have your dreams, do you feel like you have a pretty good understanding of like why you dream the things you do?
Not really. Some of them are just random, chaotic.
Even in the chaotic, well, like you dream like it's deeply tied to your subconscious. Like
Right.
I can pick up like the weirdest parts of my dreams, like stuff that shouldn't make any sense, and I'll be able to pull things out of that and be like, I know exactly why I dreamed that, even though it seems like it doesn't make sense.
I have some of those. I have some of those.
I'm just curious if there's any kind of relation to.
Yeah, but it's.
I'm not saying that it's a dream. I'm just saying like
even with my vivid dreaming, which I wake up and I know I'm dreaming. I go, oh, okay, I'm dreaming. This is cool.
Lucid dream.
Yeah, lucid dreaming. Like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go here and do that. I've had a lot of those, and those don't scare me at all. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming. And it's just like, I'm telling you, dude.
I guess it's so to explain it, and I get where you're coming from, John, because one could easily say, oh, it's just like you're dreaming. But
that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying how the subconscious affects like dreams. I'm wondering,
am I pulling some kind of understanding out of it? Like, did any of that
is there any
make
part of
any
your
sense
subconscious
to me as to
is,
why I had that vision?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's like, is there any part of you that is somehow creating with this experience, whatever it is?
Right. If it is, I don't know if I'm in control of that or not.
Do you think your consciousness is affecting anything that's happening? I mean, I guess it probably has to be to some degree.
It affects me. I know that for sure. I don't know.
I mean, there's things in these experiences that are responding to you.
Right. Well, I mean, just by us playing music and me diving into synthesis came from a very lucid, vivid dream, which got us on that path. It took me on a 5-year search for the instruments I needed to do to put this show on for people. That dream told me to pick up a video camera and make it a cinematic camera and videotape certain things without any dialogue so people can look at this and see what they get from it.
Yeah. Versus an actual episode, it's totally a different reality. Like when I have an episode, it nowhere near a dream. It's more of I'm living that like reality. I wouldn't even say it was attached to my subconscious because it's like right now, as we're having this conversation, would you say this is from our subconscious or would you say this
obviously
is?
No.
So and when I'm in that in between, it's the exact same thing. Sometimes we have visuals.
Feel physical?
It feels just as much as this is right here. The voices are just as clear as we are speaking right now. The visions are just as clear as we are, perceiving.
You feel like weight and stuff like that?
Not necessarily weight, but you feel more entangled with like frequency. Like when we're in the in-between, it feels like, for me, I'm a part of the frequency when I'm perceiving these things. Like it's tangible like that. Like I'm in that in-between.
Yeah.
So if there's a sleep realm or reality realm, and then there's like this divine realm or something in between.
A fine fabric you can walk on and still be alert and coherent.
It still holds the same weight as reality and the dream.
You know, if you look at an oscilloscope and you just play a triangle wave and there's nothing attached to it, no voice, no modulation, just a plain old wave, that's how I would consider a dream to be. Like it's just that. But when the ears ring, dude, it's a
when
that
you start to
that
vibrate,
oscilloscope.
it sends you somewhere else.
It really starts to move.
Yeah.
It's really doing something, and it's not a consistent wave. It's a
right.
Yeah,
it's like a complex waveform.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys think you're better than everyone else because you have these?
I mean,
absolutely.
Do you
that's a
think
good
that you're
question.
just like above everyone?
Absolutely. So much.
I can tell you guys have kind of like an arrogance that just,
Yeah.
Damn.
Did you get that vibe?
I'm totally kidding.
I mean,
I might feel a little above the average.
You guys might not, see it through the camera, but these are some pompous asses right here.
Yeah, we are.
I'm going to take
I work hard at that, John.
Yeah. I'm going to take that as a
you guys are
compliment, John.
Sweet guys. You made me feel right at home.
Yeah.
You have a lovely home too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John got a welcoming basket when
I
he
did.
arrived to
I
our
felt
place.
very special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think John thought he was coming here to sleep on the podcast couch.
I thought that's what you told me.
No, I just said we had a nice space to do our podcast. I think you took that as, I guess that's where I'm going to be staying.
I swear you told me that I was going to sleep in the studio.
I'm sorry to give you that impression.
I thought that you had like a nice like bedroom in the studio, but I think what you said is you have a space for when people come to stay at.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe
and
I
it's a
didn't.
lovely space.
And the wife gets so damn into it, man.
Yeah,
Like,
she loves it.
She's
wouldn't-
amazing.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
have the experience if she didn't like get
Oh,
into
I know.
it.
I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's
She
special.
gets a kick out of
We're
it.
going to get in the comment. Is this like a B&B? Can I?
I know.
How do I sign up?
Everyone
to come?
could experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's better than any hotel or Airbnb. I've
Right.
more thought put into the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even discussed that. You want people to come to your shared space to feel comfortable.
Yeah, especially if they're going to be on a show.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it definitely helps to just feel comfortable in that space.
Yeah. But not most people get that right. They normally just drive up, for a few hours but we still sit here and talk and get them comfortable.
I mean,
Right.
even this space here is awesome. Just very
right.
a lot of thought put into it, like great gear,
Yeah.
It's
That always makes it go easier.
Let me ask you this. Have you had anything that was like life-changing that made you challenge this reality? Like a personal thing that I really experienced this, and this reality is weird. It's not what they told me.
I saw a UFO.
Oh, really?
That's what like totally changed my life.
Really?
How long ago was that?
Probably 14 years ago
Oh, wow.
when I first moved to Austin.
How old are you now?
42.
Now, before you saw this UFO, were you up to speed on the whole UFO agenda?
No, I didn't care at all about that stuff.
Yeah.
And not that I care a lot about it now, but it definitely, and I started having all sorts of like weird dreams, and like I felt like I was getting like informational downloads, and it was a very weird time in my life, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did not know how to like deal with it at the time because I didn't care about any of that stuff, didn't have any interest in it. And after you see something like that just shatters your reality of what you think is possible. I imagine it's like if you see a ghost or something, it's a similar kind of just like reality breakdown.
Walk us through it. Was it morning, night? Like, how did the day start? Like, how did you witness this?
I mean, I had just moved to Texas. I lived right on the border of the UT campus, University of Texas campus, and it was
Okay.
like summertime. All the students were gone. It was like, I'd just been through this big transition in life, like leaving Seattle. I didn't really know what I was doing, as far as like when you're in a new place, you're like, did I make the right decision? So everything's new and you're just kind of questioning everything. And I was kind of exploring the campus at night. I would like ride my bike around. And one night it was late. It was like 2:30 in the morning. No one was out. And I ended up down in front of the stadium, and they were like renovating it. Like, so it was just, there was all sorts of construction going on around it. And I was just staring at it, just kind of like thinking about life, thinking about like what I was doing. And probably for like a minute or two, just kind of looking up at the building. And behind it, like kind of up in the sky, like I saw like three like glowing like orbs. Like, well, they started out like kind of shimmering. Like it was just this object that was shimmering. And then I noticed it was like three separate like lights. And the only way I can describe it is I felt like they were like lava. Like they almost like they were like pulsing. Like it was this kind
Molting.
of, it just kind of had this kind of like molten like lava flowingness to them. And I was just like, I remember just being like, what is that? And then before I could even think, it just started shooting across the sky like hundreds of miles, like in seconds. And like the way it moved, it reminded me of like if you see a mosquito or a gnat, something like
just sporadic.
Yeah, it's just like it'll be like in different spots, like it'll just reappear, and that's how it was moving. It was just like physically impossible what the aerodynamic feats that were going on.
You ever stop and think about, man, maybe I put out this like subconscious beacon and it caught on to my thought,
because you said you went out there to think,
right? But you were so in tune to your thought that it was like that tangible. You know, like Neville Goddard, you believe in what your thoughts are; they're tangible. Do you think saying that, you know, these, if they're aliens, can pick up on that? You think that was something you've done?
Well, it goes back to like, was there even a contract involved at a certain point in your life?
Right.
You know,
some
like
sort of like reminder.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I've went through all those thoughts, you know, and especially when I was having like the vivid dreams and, you know, felt like there was, you know, I can't prove anything or know for sure, but there was a period where it definitely felt like I was in contact with something.
Right.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
Did you feel like it catered a light show for you?
To some degree, yeah.
Because
it definitely felt like it was a personal thing almost.
Right,
And
'cause you said-
especially more I thought about it later. Like it felt very, very tailored. And I had this is one of the weirder parts. I definitely started having a lot of telepathic sort of experiences after that. Like there was definitely like an extra sensory,
Right.
elevated level of something going on within me, like with other people. And I started getting just random like thoughts in my head. Like, and one was, I never heard of this guy, Whitley Strieber. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He's like a UFO. Like, I honestly don't know a ton about him, but I just remember it just popped in my head. The name popped in my head just randomly. And I looked him up, and he talked about these crafts in the sky. But it was just so weird, like that it's such a weird name. Never heard about him. Just all of a sudden popped in my head. And I did do some research on him, but it totally freaked me out.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like confirmation that there's some level of communication with whatever this is. Like,
Right.
yeah.
And I was telling myself, I didn't want to cut you off, but it was how you said the campus was clear. You know, like everybody went home. It's just you there. And it's like, what better time to have this event? It almost seems like it was like ordained or like pre-planned.
Definitely had elements of that, especially how life-changing it was. And,
Right. No one else saw it but you.
Right.
Kind of like tailoring itself to you, giving you this show. Is that what pretty much, I don't think I ever asked you, but what got you into, like something had to spark in your mind, like, oh, I need to start looking into NDEs.
I honestly don't specifically know why the NDEs. I just, when I listen to them, I just feel like it just reminds me of home.
Right.
You know, like there's just something about it. Like I mean, since I was little, like I've always been super interested in metaphysical and spiritual. So at a very young age, I was just always like really curious about that stuff. And it's just always been with me. Like I've always just had a deep knowing that life is not the ultimate reality.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
you even told me at one point too, you're like us, you weren't religious growing up.
well, my parents we brought up in a Christian home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never felt like, I just always knew that there's more to it than that.
Right.
You know? So, but yeah, I was always just super interested in the spiritual, metaphysical nature of our reality. And it was always weird to me growing up too, because I did have a hard time relating to people sometimes, because I just felt like, and even to this day, because when I have conversations with people, I think we talked about this the other day, there's a level of my consciousness that always is aware that this is kind of like the dream. And you're talking to people that probably, you can tell most of the time, have never really spent a whole lot of time thinking about that.
Right.
So there's like a weird vibrational mismatch that like, where you just sometimes want to be like, you know, this is all just like, it's not really that real, right?
It's for show. Yeah. You know, you don't have to take yourself that
Exactly.
serious.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that goes back to my whole point of no one, which I don't want to say I'm envious of, because that at least these people are so untied to this life, that they're getting the full experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with. I mean, I
Right.
sometimes am a little bit envious of.
Me too.
Wish I could just be a little bit more just in this place.
Yeah, bliss. Ignorance is
Because
bliss.
I always feel kind of like I have one foot in this world and one foot in the other one.
I could relate with that 100%, my good sir.
Yeah, the rabbit hole gets deep, man. Especially
does.
when you start talking about your consciousness and reality. I just heard something freaking crazy. I was watching Billy Carson and Danica Patrick podcast, and apparently the Russians are the first to put a beloved monkey's consciousness inside of a computer, and the body has since been long dead. But this monkey's consciousness is alive. I believe the article came out in 2011. Those of you who are curious.
Or at least like a replica of the consciousness.
But just for this, but just for them to be talking about it, and these two people are pretty.
That's where there are definitely people trying to move in that direction.
Right. But look at Elon Musk. I mean, he wants to put Neuralinks inside of us. What is it? The size of a quarter embedded in our brains. They've already done it on a pig.
Thanks.
Yeah.
They've done it on a pig and it's successful. I know for sure they've done it on a human being.
Yeah, right.
I think they just totally bypassed the monkey. They said, you know what? Let's let the monkeys be the Russians.
Yeah.
Deal. We're going to just dive straight into humans. I mean, the pig shares
they've already done this. Like, I'm pretty sure they've already done.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But they're
openly.
now coming out in articles, and now they're speaking about it.
Well, you have humans nowadays that are willing to just sign up for this.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Right.
Like you don't even have to
Just sign me up.
Yeah.
If
I'll do it.
I can answer my phone just by thinking about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Or Google. Like I just know the answer just by a thought process. And then pretty soon half the planet is on it. And then for those who don't want to be on it, what happens to us? You know, are we going to be like,
Better have some Bitcoin.
we're going to be
Better
like
have some Bitcoin.
this dude.
Yeah. You better have the Bitcoin.
We're going to be antiquated, fleshy, original humans.
That's going to be.
We're going to be the originals
That's probably going to happen in our lifetime. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how quickly the brain implants will be implemented. You know, where people because there's going to be a chunk of time where people are not going to just immediately. It's going to take a generation or two.
Oh, it's going to take
Right.
I would hope it wouldn't take effect at all, and we stay purely biologically organic. But I mean, imagine having a chip put in your head. That means you can get a virus, or someone can hack into you and control your nervous system.
Yeah,
or
no thanks.
you know,
You
what?
leave yourself open to so much more.
Yeah.
But I think it's ultimately.
I think you're disconnecting yourself from your soul. To
Yeah.
some
People don't
degree,
want to
too.
die. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah, they're so afraid of death. They're willing to like upload their
Right.
consciousness
To
to
avoid
some
it.
And
to
I'll-
avoid it.
I'm a
fake
big fan.
reality.
Yeah.
That sounds
Dude, my wife
terrifying.
and I always say, if we can manifest it and put it on TV, chances are we're doing it and we're testing it.
Yeah, it's probably where a lot of the ideas
You
come
know?
from.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
They even coerce.
Secret government black project.
Oh, like
Exactly.
why wouldn't you invest in that?
Yeah.
You know?
But they got people right now and they're telling young people that are like the age of 13, hey, you know, we can prep you up, train you, and we want to send people to Mars. But here's the stick. You're not coming back. We don't have that technology yet.
Yeah.
And you got people willing to sign these like vouchers to go like, yeah, I'll be the first one to go to Mars, knowing that there's no way back. Just
You
so
probably won't even make it there.
it probably won't even make
Right.
it there.
We're not even sending you to Mars. We're sending you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you got people like Corey Good. Look up this dude, Corey.
We did an episode. on
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
this
called
dude.
Corey Good or Bad.
Right.
Yeah. I like
But
that.
I mean, there's a part of me that kind of believes the guy. Like,
Yeah, no,
there's
there's definitely
we're
truth
already
in
on
there.
Mars.
I don't know if I totally believe him, but I'm sure there's aspects of what he's saying that are true. for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure how much. But
There's some things I think is far fetched, but like there's a small bit of what he's saying. I'm like, I just don't see why we're not doing that.
What was he like known truly for? Because he has so many
was,
stories.
He was a starfighter, essentially. Like
from I think my lab, like military. I think it's like the
a galactic military
He's
guy.
like not a super soldier or something, where he
Right.
was like drafted into this top secret like intergalactic, program where, you know, I think like time travel's involved, all sorts of stuff. I don't actually remember all the details, but, you know, basically he was supposedly involved in this intergalactic, some space organization / military project. And, you know, the stories kind of evolve from there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if that holds just half the weight of his story, it's just...
There's other people, too, that have, you know, claimed that, too. Like, it's not just him. But he's like, you know, David Wilcox is, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think he kind of brought him into the spotlight.
Gaia TV and stuff like that. I know we are probably approaching 2 hours now.
Wow.
And there's a couple of questions I want to ask before we shut this down.
We got a salmon salad to eat.
Yeah, we do.
And the editor, the wife, Marilyn, makes a hell of a salmon salad.
Yeah, she does.
She made some amazing tacos last night. So.
Yeah. Oh, the tacos were phenomenal. As always, to be expected from a Costa Rican, Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Costa Rican, Puerto Rican.
Costa Rica, all the Ricans.
All the Ricans is what she would say.
The Rican deacons.
All the right kind.
Let me ask
all
you
the
this.
Right kind.
All the right kind.
I like that.
Let me ask you this. Your twin brothers, they have a podcast. What got them started? Like
I'm part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Where it's all three of us.
Okay. I thought it was their thing and you just randomly just show up like I'm John.
Well, I mean, we're all part of the team. Like,
okay, so what got you guys? I don't know. We're just now meeting, so I'm finding this out for myself. Yeah.
They do like a lot of the research. I am kind of like the layman on the show. Like, but we're all there.
So nothing like what got you guys in it? Had they experienced something, and you guys were all like, okay, I experienced this, he experienced that. Let's go do this.
I'm the only one that's ever had anything like that happen. But since they were young, they've always been interested in like Bigfoot and the paranormal and stuff like that. So, I mean, we always thought that we would be doing some kind of creative work together because one is like a video editor, photographer. The other one does like website design and writes. And then I do audio. Okay. So it's kind of like a good fit to do some sort of production.
Right.
And when I was out in Austin, I ended up doing a bunch of podcast work. And so when I moved back to Ohio, it was like, well, let's do a podcast. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah. And what's the name of their podcast or your guys' podcast?
God darn it. I'm part of it.
He likes to exclude you, John, for whatever reason.
I just picture you as a free roamer, John.
He's a nomad.
You just go where you're needed.
Yeah.
I am a lone wolf to some degree. Yeah. Belief Hole podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good podcast.
If you're into like, it's not as like metaphysical, spiritual. It's more paranormal, ghosts, cryptid type stuff. We do mysterious stuff too, like missing 411.
Yeah. The old politis.
Aliens, stuff like that. Anything that's just strange and unusual.
Yeah.
Portals, stuff like that.
Did you get out and do field research too, or is it just strictly what you read?
Yeah, I mean they are actually really good researchers, and they only find like the truest accounts. So it's a very like research show that is. We try to leave we try to gather as much like corroborative evidence as possible. That's their kind of like main goal. They really want to do like true accounts. But yeah, no, we haven't done a lot of field stuff yet. I know we've talked about it, but we're so busy just with the production because it's very like edited and produced. It's not just like we just record and put it out. It's got like sound effects and music.
Like us. It's
definitely.
It's okay.
You got to get that raw and uncut.
Everyone has different takes, I mean, everyone's going to have their own way of doing it. That's just kind of
the art of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's very like it's very sound heavy. It's got a lot of production behind it. Music, that's kind of where I come in.
Which I mean, I like it. It's a lot of it's right up my alley, and I like the production of it.
Yeah,
it's well thought.
For me, I'm not really into some of those things, but the things you guys do talk about, I'm like, okay, yeah, I actually follow those things. Like
if it's something you're
stuff.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
I'm not either, to be honest. A lot of the
some
times.
Bigfoot stuff. I'm into that because
you like the Bigfoot, huh?
Yeah, I just know that there's more than us. There will always be. My older brother Will always told me this, that if we are possible, anything's possible.
If it can probably be imagined on some level, it's possible, like in some other dimension. I sometimes think even just our thoughts are creating some sort of ripple dimension somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Cause and effect.
the more you get into this kind of this world of like the supernatural and metaphysical side, it just seems like there's no end. Like the consciousness of like how powerful consciousness is.
Yeah.
Like we live in a world that is just focused solely on the physical. But as we talk about, like, I think it's just, we don't even begin to understand
the non-physical.
Yeah. Like how powerful consciousness is and what it is. Like we're in these very limited bandwidth bodies. And then when we die, we go back and we realize how like expansive we really are.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Well, I'll put it like this, because this is how I kind of been phrasing it. Before you die and leave this third dimensional life, it's a rule written that you have to experience the third dimension in a different perspective other than being a human, meaning a bird or a frog, or which one of these creatures would you
The
want?
deepest of questions.
Would you want to experience this life?
Like an animal or something? Sort
Or
of?
whatever.
Anything other than human. We've heard some crazy answers, just so you know.
That's a good question. I mean, kind of the typical one you think of, like, I want to be a bird so I can fly.
Right.
I think it'd be cool to be a dolphin.
Okay. We haven't got that one yet.
You want to elaborate real quick on why?
I mean, they're just crazy intelligent.
Yeah.
And to be able to have, like, I mean, it seems like they're a lot like humans in a way, just their intelligence and their emotional bonding and
their pod. Yeah.
and just to have like that much like strength to be able to move through the water like that. Yeah. Maybe not on Earth though. I feel like it depends on where you're at. Yeah. Like it's kind of dangerous for certain, marine life.
It's dangerous being a human.
That's true.
Yeah, it is.
But you're kind of defenseless as a dolphin though. I mean, if you get caught in the wrong place, like, don't want to be near like Asia probably as a dolphin.
Yeah, they're like they have massively overfishing.
Well, they have like dolphin harvesting too. Yeah. Like, but yeah, that's my answer, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe I would have to think about that one to solidify that. So don't.
Well, we can always
have some weird karmic trap for me.
Later.
Right. Well, I want to have you back because we want to sit you on the couch and ask you a bunch of questions. So, who taught you how to love?
I mean, my parents are both amazing, so they definitely showed me a lot of love growing up. So I would definitely say both of them.
Okay, who taught you the art of deception and or to lie?
Probably like school, being around other. I remember, you kind of break that innocence around middle school. I felt like it was for me.
Yeah,
where you realize, because like I said, I grew up in a very loving, trusting home. I feel like for as much love as they showed me, they didn't do the best job of preparing me for like what life really is.
Yeah.
So it was kind of shocking to see like that kind of unfold. I remember in middle school, just like popularity and, like deceiving people to gain popularity. And so I would definitely say around, middle schoolish time.
Damn. So you learned deception early off.
Oh, we did it to ourselves.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say like that was not that I became that way.
No,
right. But you definitely learned it.
Yeah, that's when I knew like my innocence of like what this place was.
Damn kids. Those damn kids.
Yeah. To get out of trouble or anything, you would say anything.
Yeah.
The last one is, who is John? Now be careful how you answer this, John. When I ask it, you could take it in any way you want. I'm not going to gear you how to answer
As he's saying, be careful how you answer this, John.
Don't be fast on this one is all I have to say.
I've thought about this one a lot.
Oh, okay.
I mean, John is just a temporary personality that's experiencing an earthly experience, and I'll be added to probably some larger version of John once I leave the human experience,
Yeah.
That's pretty much, it's a temporary experience, That's pretty much all I know that John is right now. He's just a series of experiences. I am nothing.
But everything.
But everything
John,
at the same time.
I kind of knew you were going to say that only because I know who you are mentally.
Yeah. You're my kind of guy, John.
What's your answer for that?
I'm you, I'm him, I'm her, I'm every inanimate object, concrete, a rock. I am everything that is everything. I am easily influenced. I am a piece of everybody's idea and thought process. I am us. I don't think there is a I. I just think that there is. I'm experience.
The all.
I'm a creation of source.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the universe.
Experiencing
if the
a
universe
limiting
wanted to
experience.
itself.
Yeah.
You're like, a little finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or all of that.
Touching all the different.
All the tentacles. I want to know what it's like to be a rock and compress atoms. That's all it is. But those atoms are alive. It's not just a rock.
In this life, I'm a sound designer, music producer, son,
Right.
Seeker of interesting knowledge and wisdom.
There you go.
Right. All right.
Well, shit, John. Thank you for being the moderator /
We got to have you back, man. There's so many things that I want to ask you, but the podcast is going to be more geared to you.
Yeah.
And not so much us.
Well, we definitely probably could have done several podcasts already for how much we've talked behind the scenes.
Yeah. Behind the scenes is a different making of its own. Some of that shit you don't want on.
No, but there was a lot that would have been fine. I would say probably 90% we would be able to put out there.
Yeah, we can go deep down the rabbit
Anything
hole.
you want to put out there? Belief hole.
Yeah, if you, like I said, if you're interested in the paranormal and the strange and the unusual, check us out at Belief Hole Podcast. It's on YouTube. Anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
If there's anyone low on energy, down and out, is there anything you want to tell people on how to get back on track real quick and
watch some near-death experiences?
That always helps me.
I mean, first you got to allow yourself to believe in some of that stuff, but I don't know, man. I just know for a fact that death is not real.
Yeah. It's not finite.
It's definitely not in my mind. I just, with all my heart, I know that that we go on forever and this is just a temporary experience. So try to love people as much as you can while you're here and learn as much and grow as much and practice patience and know that no matter how bad things get here, that there's always so much more to look forward to.
Oh, lovely words, John.
Lovely, John.
Well, Baba.
Yes, boo-boo.
That's going to conclude today's podcast.
It was a hell of a podcast today. Not a whole lot of monkey shit being thrown out there.
No, not a lot. This is a more serious podcast.
But they are stealing monkeys' consciousness, boo-boo. Damn Russians.
Like the podcast.
This is a normal ending?
Kinda. We're just going with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the podcast.
As the boo-boo thing?
Subscribe. Well, the boo-boo thing is we brought up, we're like monkey commentators. Like if you're watching monkey sports, you got Baba and you got boo-boo.
Like and subscribe, comment. Helps the channel grow.
Yes, it does. And by the way, I'm Baba. You're boo-boo.
Sorry for the misunderstanding there.
Yeah, that's right.
But like John said, like, subscribe.
Comment.
Ring the bell.
We want to ring the bell?
It's kind of tradition, John.
What is that?
Just
ding, 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 ding.
You don't make the noise.
Sound
the editor
effect.
does
Just mute it.
Peace, you guys. Yeah, I like that.